Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Q&A session for the third rendition of the Merriman Market Timing Academy. My name is Gianni and Poce, and I'm the director of MMTA, and I'm joined today with the one and only Raymond Merriman. Ray, how are you doing?
We're doing great, Johnny. Looking forward to it.
Indeed. So this is a session that we're doing by popular demand. We have a lot of questions coming in about MMTA. So we're going to answer those and provide an open format, an open forum, since that's something that we value not only as part of our educational process, but overall. So we're going to begin by introducing ourselves as individuals, tell you a little bit about the background of MMTA, and then we're going to talk about the curriculum and then get into other frequently asked questions, and then obviously have the table open for questions. So Ray, I'm going to give you the floor, and you can tell us a little bit about your background and how MMTA came to be.
Yes, well, I started my studies of astrology as a graduate student at Michigan State University. I won't go into details how all that began, but we're going back around 50 some years here, and I've worked in the astrology community for quite some time. In 1978, one of my clients wanted me to see if there's a correlation between astrology and stock market. She gave me the incorporation dates of 20 companies and gave me the price charts of them in 1978, and asked me if I could, pick the ones that would do the best in the next 6 months. And so I did. I picked 5 of them. Now I remember that time the Dow was only trading between about 850 and 950. Not much range, but I picked 5 stocks in March and told her, in September on such and such a date, cash them all in and see how we did. She did, and her 10,000 made $12,800. She made 28% in 6 months, and that got my interest. And so I began studying it and doing my research. Met Walter Bresser in 1983 or 1980 in Tucson, Arizona, who introduced me to commodities and cycles. Taught me everything I knew at the time, could learn at the time about cycles that he could share, and wanted to know if there's other things besides Mars stations that would correlate with highs and lows in the gold market, because it was at that time that gold was making a high. Mars was going retrograde. And the 6 previous times that Mars went retrograde or direct, they were the yearly highs and lows in gold. So that got my interest, and I began the quantitative studies on financial markets other than the stock market that dealt with astrology other than just the sun and moon. And from that came the gold book, Cosmic Correlation to Gold Price Cycles. And to make this story shorter, that was a huge success, that book. It led me to start doing research into the stock market timing books, which took from 1997 to 2012, 15, 16 years, 1,600 pages, volumes 1 to 5. And when that was completed in 2012, I asked myself, what do I do now? What's next? And I thought, well, you're not getting that much younger, Ray. I know you're getting a little bit younger, but not that much younger. It's probably time to share this knowledge and teach people your methodology. And that began MMTA. So we began that in 2012, 2013. Our first courses were actually 2012, 2013, 2014. That was MMTA 1. We advanced to MMA 2 in 2020, 2022. We just finished that. And now we're going to begin MMTA 3. As Gianni will explain to you as we go forward, it's 8 courses. There's over 100 different lessons in these 8 courses that will be taught. It's very comprehensive. There's nothing else like this going on in the world today that is as comprehensive, as detailed, and all-encompassing as to how you are able to time financial markets, highs and lows, coordinate it with identifying price target zones when you reach those time bands, and then further correlate with technical analysis, chart patterns. And then we have confirming signals, a lot of it based on moving averages studies that relate to cycles, which are very, very important. We're not using just 40-week moving averages or just 200-day moving averages. Those are conveniences, but those aren't necessarily the moving averages that pertain to cycle studies. And that's what we're going to be covering in this course.
Very good. Thank you, Ray. And before we get more into the curriculum, as Ray just alluded to, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my background and how I came to find Ray. So I've now been in the digital trading pits, what I like to call, for about 11 years. So I've been in the market since then. I began in traditional finance, completed my bachelor's degree in economics, and started off like many other individuals in the financial world do, by learning fundamental analysis and getting into the financial world by taking a Series 7 and a Series 66 exam. But it didn't take very long of me watching the markets on a daily basis to realize that markets don't really move on the fundamentals. They don't really move on economic data or cash flows or all that. I mean, you even see this past week, you have companies missing their earnings reports, coming in below expectations, and the stock prices exploding higher. Well, so that led me to learn technical analysis, which was a step in the right direction, which is also a major component of the Merriman Market Timing Academy, especially in the later courses. And once I learned technicals, that improved my understanding of markets greatly, was able to combine fundamentals and technicals, but there was still something missing until I was reading a book about technical analysis that mentioned an individual named W.D. Gann. Well, I'm sure many of you know who that is, and that kind of opened Pandora's box. I bought Gann's books, started reading them, figured out he was using astrology, and then that got me into financial astrology. Started researching financial astrology, and I found an individual named Raymond Merriman. And Raymond Merriman just so happened to live about 40 minutes away from me back in 2016. So I sent Ray an email. I had already bought all of the Ultimate Book on Stock Market Timing books, researched those, took extensive notes. We met for dinner at Lely's in Farmington Hills, Michigan. He invited me to come to ESAR that fall, and the rest is kind of history. We've been working together since 2018, and it's been a pretty amazing journey ever since then. So that's how I arrived here at MMA. And we restarted MMTA after having some discussions in the summer of 2020. We said, you know, we can do this online. We can do this virtually. We just have to revamp all the information, update all the charts, modernize the workbooks, and we did. And it went very well. So that's why we're here again. So what I want to do next, unless Ray, you have any comments or anything you wanted to add, was just kind of.
I do want to add one thing.
Yeah.
I want to add one thing. You know, this is the only financial market timing course, and dealing with financial astrology, astrological techniques is part of that market timing, where you have two instructors who are licensed, regulated, registered with the National Futures Association as commodity trading advisors, CTAs. There's a lot of people out there putting out a lot of information on what to do in the markets that have absolutely very little training or qualifications or even registration regulatory necessities in this field. So you're dealing with two people here, Gianni and myself, who are both registered CTAs with the National Futures Association. Although other people can be very good at market analysis without that registration, that is the one seal of approval, if you will, in the field of securities analysis that is very important. I think that would let you know you're dealing with somebody who really has background, who's really done the studies and passed the tests to be qualified to analyze and give financial advice on financial and commodity markets. And by the way, Gianni, congratulations on passing that part of your impressive background of series, security series exams that you passed. You did a good job. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Okay, so what I want to do next is I'm actually going to share my screen. I'm going to run through some of the broad details in the curriculum of MMTA 3. So Ray, can you see my screen here?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so MMTA 3 is a 2-year program, and it's actually a little bit less. You know, we're going to start in March of 2023, and it's going to end in September 2024. So classes will be held on Saturdays at 12 p.m. Eastern time, and they run on average 2 to 2.5 hours. It's comprised of 8 courses, so you can find the details at www.mmacycles.com. And as you can see, in year 1, we cover courses 1 through 4. Course 2 will be held in person in Troy, Michigan. And for those that cannot attend in person, it will be all recorded on Zoom and live streamed, just like all of our classes will. So this is all conducted on Zoom, but if for whatever reason you cannot attend due to a conflicting schedule or, life happens, we understand, all of the sessions are recorded to be reviewed at your own convenience. So year one ends the beginning of October 2023, and then we fire back up with course 5 in January of 2024, wrapping it up in September 24, once again with an in-person meeting in Troy, Michigan. So I do want to go through the program schedule just so you see how we break down the classes. Course 1 title is Cycles and Chart Patterns in Financial Markets. And this will be a 6 to 7 week course, as most of them are. You can see the dates where we have study hours after the course is complete. And then we have examinations and research papers for those that decide to pursue the MMTA graduation certification. Then we have all the lessons broken down in each course. So course 1 is going to have 12 lessons. Course 2, Geocosmic Correlations to Long-Term Cycles in Financial Markets. That is when we begin the financial astrology component of the program. Course 1 is the introduction of cycle theory, which is basically the foundation of understanding the Merriman method. Okay. And then once you understand the cycle theory, that's part of the Merriman method, we can introduce you into the financial astrology component, which encompasses courses 2 through 5. Now, as I mentioned, course 2 will unfold over a long weekend in Michigan. So that's only going to be 4 days long. And for those of you that won't be joining us, you will have the option to view it remotely, as I mentioned. So course 2 will have 16 lessons. Course 3, Geocosmic Correlations to Trading Cycles in Financial Markets. We're going to narrow down the time band and look at how to conduct financial astrology analysis and research on a smaller time scale. That one, course 3, has 14 lessons. By the time we get to course 4, we're going to be looking at how to use financial astrology with respect to solar lunar correlations for day and swing trading, hence the title of the course, Solar Lunar Correlations to Short-Term Reversals in Financial Markets. So one of the, I think, strongest components of MMTA is that we really are building out an understanding from all different time horizons, the long-term, for the long-term investor, for the intermediate term position trader, and even those that wish to pursue speculation at a swing trading or day trading level to produce income from the market. So the methodology is applicable to all different time horizons. And the beauty of it all is that you can fine tune it and curate it to your own temperament, which is something that we'll cover at the end of the course as well. So course 4 has 12 lessons. Year 2, course 5, Creating a Trading and Investing Plan, Combining Market Timing Studies and Price Objectives. This one has 12 lessons. And, as someone that has been speculating for over a decade, Ray has a tremendous history in speculative markets as well. It's so very important to have a plan so that you're not approaching markets just on the whim of your emotions and whatever the current thing or the current headline is suggesting how you should react. And that's the beauty of this program, is that we are giving a methodology for you to build your own trading plan, right? So that when an adverse reaction or an adverse event unfolds in the markets, you have a risk reward profile, you have an understanding of where we are in time, where we are with respect to price, and where we are with respect to geocosmics as well. Course 6 is titled Advanced Support Resistance Calculations for Short-Term Trading. This is when we get into the technicals. For those of you that follow the MMA reports, when we talk about support and resistance zones, the trend indicator point, the tip, pivot points, bullish and bearish crossover zones, that all begins in course 6. And we also teach the price projections and price calculations, whether it's Fibonacci or other methods as well. Course 7, Advanced Support and Resistance for Short-Term Trading and Becoming a Market Analyst. The last 2 courses are really about tying it all together, honing in on markets. If you're conducting research in a particular market, by the end of this time, you will know a market intimately, the long-term, the intermediate term, and the short-term cycles if you're conducting research and analyzing them over this period. Course 7 has 14 lessons, and then we wrap up with Course 8. Once again, will be in person in Troy, Michigan, putting it all together as the title: Market Reports, Trading Plans, and Execution. So now I do want to mention one last thing. Well, I should say that Course 8 has 15 lessons. So let me stop sharing my screen. If you saw something on that list that appeals to you especially, you don't need to do the whole course. You can pick and choose various courses that are more suitable to you or of greater interest to you. Will you understand the methodology if you go from Course 1 to Course 8? Absolutely. It's a lot harder to understand courses 2 through 8 if you don't have the comprehension and knowledge of Course 1. So I would highly recommend that you start with Course 1, but if you have already been working with MMA for a period of time and perhaps you have a rudimentary understanding of cycles, you might not need that. But I think that you would be best served if you started with Course 1. So Ray, any other input or feedback that you want to provide for what I just reviewed on the course curriculum?
Well, I think you did a very, very good job of the outlining what they can expect. What I would add to that is year 1 is all about the methods of market timing, because that's the core of what MMA methodology is about. We want to identify the time band when reversals are likely to take place, whether they're long-term, intermediate, or short-term, based on primary cycles or even their phases. So year 1 is all about market timing. Year 2 is how you integrate the other studies like price objective theories that we put together, moving average combinations, other forms of technical analysis. There's a few important ones that we find very, very complementary to our market timing methodology. So year 1, you're going to learn about market timing, all the ins and outs of market timing, from long-term to intermediate term to short-term to even day trading. Year 2, you're going to learn how to apply it and enhance your trading ability or your market analysis ability, because some of you only want to become market analysts rather than necessarily traders. So we're going to give you the skill set to do that and how you put it all together. And Gianni, I think you did a real good job of explaining that.
Okay, thank you. And very good. So that concludes the broad overview of the course. So now what I want to do next, Ray, is talk about the technology that comes with the course and the technology that's required for the course, as well as the broader course structure. So all of our classes are offered via Zoom, like we're on now. So if you're joining us here today, you shouldn't have an issue accessing the classes. It's the same way to enter and the same way to exit the classes. So a common thing is how do we keep virtual students motivated and accountable without being in person? Well, I think a big part of it is that we're not inundating you with so much information at one time. So each class, the way we do it is that we typically begin by reviewing the lessons from the previous class session, and that's typically done through the review of quizzes. So after various lessons, you will notice quizzes. They're offered in the workbook. They will also be in the slides. And so we start off each class by reviewing the quizzes, and that's a great way to review what was learned in the previous week. And then in each class, we will introduce 2 to 3 lessons. And then at the end of each class, we will do a live Q&A market analysis where we actually apply the theories that were just introduced in that class and look at how they are manifesting in the markets at that point in time. And that's actually what our previous students that we did in MMTA 2 via Zoom stated was the most valuable and enjoyable part of the course, was the live discussion, the Q&A. It's a chance for interaction. We don't want this to be a course where you're just sitting there and listening to us talk for 2 to 2.5 hours on every Saturday. We want to hear from you. And the time that we want to hear from you in person is at the end of each class. And sometimes it's, hey, let's look at this market. Can we look at that? How do you think this might be impacting that? What about this transit coming up? What about this cycle? So on and so forth. Or even as a matter of just clarifying what was just learned. That's the best place to do that. So Ray, anything that you want to add to what I just shared?
No, we have a couple questions here though on the questions and answer part.
Okay,
Apparently,
well,
people are commenting
yeah,
on that. Let's pose the chat. So,
yeah,
do
we
you
will,
want to cover
we'll get
these
to
now
those
or
in just a
later?
moment, Ray.
Okay.
I'm gonna get through this, this real quick right here.
Yeah.
So that's how we have in the class sessions, we have the chat feature that's not available to you right now. But that is also another valuable component to the course, is that during the classes, if I'm the one that's talking, Ray's in the chat room answering your questions in real time. And a lot of times there's like a simultaneous discussion going on, and it's not distracting at all. In fact, it's very constructive. And sometimes, if it's a really good conversation being had, Ray will interrupt what I'm saying, and we'll go off in a little digression. So this isn't like, Ray's a Capricorn, I'm a Capricorn rising. We understand the importance of structure, but at the same time, we're not robotic, right? This is a very free-flowing type of discussion. So all of the class recordings are typically available by Sunday evening Eastern or Monday at the latest. So if you are not able to make the live class on Sunday, give it, I'd say, 24 to 48 hours at the latest before they were updated onto the website portal. All of the presentation slides that come with the course workbook at the beginning of each course, you should look for those about a week or two before the start of each course. And then when it comes to exams and research projects, the exams are usually sent out on a Wednesday. There's some brief exceptions, I believe, this time around. But they're usually sent out on a Wednesday, and they're due by the Sunday at 11:59 p.m. Eastern. So you basically have 5 days to complete the exam. The exams are usually 70 to 100 questions in length. They're all multiple choice. It is open book format. We run on the honor system. We just ask that you complete them within 2 hours. The research projects take a little bit more time, but this is, I think, perhaps the most valuable component of the program, because this allows you to apply the theory on your own time with your own understanding and get real feedback from Ray and myself. Another common question is, how much time per week do students need to dedicate to MMTA? Well, if class is 2 to 2.5 hours on average per week on Saturdays, I tend to go with the idea that you shouldn't be spending more than 4 hours per week on the course material. Understanding that, you have to review some of the information periodically, even preview some of the information before class if you want to answer quizzes on your own time. But at the end of the day, there is an element of self-study and individual accountability in this course. We're going to give you our time, but to truly master the program, you need to be looking at charts and doing your own cycle studies on your own schedule. And when it comes to technology required for the course, the big question we always get is Mac versus PC. So all of the technology software programs that we provide do run best on PC. There are some people that run Windows on the Mac, and my understanding is that it can work, but it might not work as good. So you should consider investing in a PC for technology's sake. And in terms of access to Zoom, that is, able to be done through Mac or PC. That doesn't matter, as long as you have a camera and a microphone, we can hear and speak to you. So Ray, that is, I just wanted to get through that first.
Yeah.
That first part of the outline that we had here for things we want to talk about. We can go through some of the questions now, and then we're going to continue with the outline in just a moment. So let me go through the questions that are in the Zoom call right now, and then we're going to return to the outline. And again, there are more time for questions as we progress through this discussion. So we have a question from Sarap Yildiz. Why is MMA Cycles 3 the last? Well, Ray, do you want to answer that, or do you want me to answer it?
Yeah, it's not really the last. It's the last that I'm going to commit to being on every class during the courses. I will still come in because I love sitting in on the classes, and I like contributing. It's just that after 3 of these sessions, which covered 6 years of my life, I just don't want to be obligated to be there every single week. I'd like to, have time to travel, time to visit other people. And the weekends are important. So I will still be there. I just won't be necessarily a co-host every week with Gianni. And the good thing is, the real wonderful thing is, we have developed several people who are, I would say, just as good as I am at market timing and my own methodology. Some of the research they've done is just incredible. And you'll be meeting these people. You'll be meeting several of them during this course, because they're going to serve as student assistants or student teachers. They're going to help the teams of researchers for your research projects. They're going to kind of guide you along with that before Gianni or I get your final papers. So the idea of MMTA is going to continue. It doesn't end with MMTA 3. It just means, I'm not the co-host, the co-anchor necessarily after this.
Very good. So what I'm going to do as I go through these questions, I'm going to stick to the matters related to the course. I do see some questions on the market. I'm actually going to save that for the end, because we did allocate a little bit of time to conduct some market analysis. So Olga Pestova asks, please tell about prerequisites for MMTA. Is financial education required, or it's only astrology? So Ray, I'll start off by answering this, and you can add afterwards. So all we ask is that our students have a basic understanding of astrology. So we do test for that through the MMA pre-entrance exam, the MMTA pre-entrance exam. It's very short, only 20 questions. And even if you do fail it, you can retake it. But we just want to know that you have the basic understanding of astrology, such as the difference between a conjunction or a square. You know how to read an ephemeris, stuff like that. When it comes to financial background, it will help you, but this course is designed to take you from a phrase I like to use frequently, zero to hero. So even the astrology, you don't need to be an expert by any means. This course is designed to take you from a basic understanding to a very advanced understanding. So Ray, anything else you wanted to add to that?
Yeah, the requirements for astrology, you don't have to be an astrologer. You don't have to be very detailed with it. We don't even require you to know houses. We don't use houses in this course. We're using planets, signs, and aspects. That's the basic fundamentals of astrology you need for financial market timing. When it comes to financial market analysis, it would be nice if you understood what highs and lows, the price range of a day is. That can help you. But we provide you with 2 basic beginning books with that you should probably read before you get too far into the course, maybe even before you begin it. One is Basic Principles of Financial Market Timing Using Geocosmic Studies. That will be sent on PDF to everybody. That will give you the basics you need to know about astrology. The other is Merriman on Market Cycles, the Basics, which gives you basic language of cycle studies related to financial markets. Each of these books can probably be read in one day, maybe at the most, 2 or 3 days. But with these 2 books read before you come to the course, you'll have enough understanding of the language to get what we're teaching in this course.
Very good. The next question is from Mary Ellen Hawkinsmith. Do softwares get installed through CD or online? So about, it's going to be around the beginning of March. If you purchase, if you decide to do the certification and do the whole 2 years with us, you will get the softwares that will be downloaded online. So the softwares are Metastock, Far for the Galactic Trader, and Solar Fire. So those are installed online, and I highly recommend that you get them through us, because you're getting at a very fair price, a discounted rate. And Ray, I do think it is a good time to address the pricing structure of the software, and how if you purchase the whole 2-year program, which saves you the most money, your software cost is included. Now, if you wish to pursue the certification, the MMTA designation, the graduate certification, but are going to pay one course at a time, what will happen is that we will invoice you separately for the software. The total comes out to $1,720, I believe. Is that right, Ray?
Yeah, we give a 50% discount, which is basically our cost.
Yeah.
We take our costs off, give that to you. So you're getting over $3,400 of software that's really going to make the difference of succeeding this course or not. You're going to get it for half off. Now, I also want to say, and maybe you mentioned this before or will, But if you do not intend to graduate, you just want the information, you don't need to go through the tests. You don't need to go through the research project. You don't need the software. You can use your own software.
Correct.
But if you're going to graduate with MMTA, then it is required that you have these software programs, because the research projects and the FAR program, the FAR for the Galactic Trader, is dependent upon having these software programs to do the studies correctly. So that's important to know.
Indeed. And if you are paying course by course, we will reimburse you for the cost of the software at the end of the course. So it is included in the, the whole tuition.
Well, that's true. At whatever point the student pays the entire cost of the course, we will reimburse you that $1,720 for the amount that you had to pay for the software to take the course.
Indeed. And that's a very important.
And again, if you're paying for the whole course up front, you won't be charged for that software. It's included. You're getting $3,400 of software in the cost of your course.
Yep. Okay, let's see. Alfred Porad asks, do we have to buy all of your books?
Well, you don't have to buy all of the books, because each of the courses 1 through 4, are based upon the books. The books will only help you understand courses 1 through 4, but they're not required. And courses 5, 6, 7, and 8 is based on volume 5 of the stock market timing courses. So no, you're not required to purchase these books. They only will facilitate your understanding as you go through this course. But the other thing I want to mention is these are great reference books. I mean, I use them constantly when I'm trying to figure out, whether or not I got a critical reversal date. How important is it going to be? Is it going to be a dramatic one? Is it going to be a modest one? Is it going to be a mild one? The books are really helpful as references, because you can't remember all those things. So I recommend that you get the books, but you're not required to get the books.
And okay, I did get through all the original questions that were asked. I see them more, and we're going to get back to them, but I want to make sure we get through all the other material that we wanted to discuss. So we talked about how to achieve the MMTA designation. There are 7 exams and research papers that must be completed after courses 1 through 7. And upon completion of those, you will receive the MMTA designation. So, and if you display exceptional comprehension of the material, and basically if you're one of our top students, there is the potential to keep working with us. This is a competitive environment, and the financial world is very competitive, and we're not going to create a fake environment where it's just everyone succeeds, because that's not how markets are. And as Ray mentioned, I just took the Series 3 exam, and there are trick questions. They try to trick you. Markets try to trick you. Mercury retrograde tries to trick you. This is real world stuff. This isn't a you just turn in your assignments and you get an A+. No, this is we want you to excel, and we're going to put you through the fire, so to speak, to make sure that you come out a much better analyst and trader and or speculator. So as Ray alluded to, any background in finance or astrology will do you well throughout the course. If you do want to proceed as you listen to us talk here, send me an email at Gianni@MMAcycles.com. I'm happy to set up a call. One of the parts of the admission process is to complete an interview with me, because not only are we looking for credentialed individuals that have a high level of competence, but we're also looking for people of high integrity and character, because that is something that we value tremendously here at MMA. We're not going to sit here and tell you that we're right 100% of the time. As you go through our methodology, you will see that we use quantifiable, repeatable data through a certain percentage probability of accuracy. And that's what we're going to teach throughout this course. And so that's all we have. We don't do predictions here at MMA. We do forecasts. Forecasts are based on probabilities. So that's why we want people of high character and high understanding to be associated with us. And that is part of the interview. So we can learn more about you as an individual and your background. So Ray, I do want to briefly talk about some of the other perks that come with being a student of MMTA, not only do you get to join us for 8 courses that are over 100 lessons total and over 100 hours of Zoom time, you have access to in-person events, like the Course 2 and Course A retreats. Those are investment retreats too. So not only are we discussing course material, but we're doing live market analysis there as well. You will also be able to participate in free webinars that we conduct throughout the year. So Ray and I do, it's a spring webinar like in May of this year. You'll be able to join that free of cost as a student of the program. You will also get the Basic Principles PDF that Ray discussed for free and the Merriman on Market Cycles ebook. And then once you become a student of MMTA, you get 10% off of any MMA subscription and Merriman books, excluding Forecasts and the Trend book. So I do want to talk about the payment options very briefly, and then we will return to answer some questions. So the payment option that's going to save you the most money, the most cost-effective payment option, is for paying for the whole 2 years upfront, 18,000 USD. And again, that comes with all of the software. You also have an option to pay an annual tuition rate, and that's going to be 9,500 USD. So it's going to cost you another $1,000 if you go that route. The most expensive way to go through the program is to pay for each course, 2,500 per course, and that will bring your total cost to 20,000. And as we said, we will reimburse you for the cost of the software upon completion of the program. And if for some reason you sign up for the whole 2 years and you have to withdraw or drop out, life happens, we understand. You will be reimbursed for the courses you have not completed. But you will not be reimbursed for the cost of the software. So that is a risk that needs to be understood and taken on beforehand. So Ray, was there anything else?
Because once a couple of these software programs, once you use them, they can't be returned. Far from the Galactic Trader, can't be reused, nor can Solar Fire. Metastock we can. We can reimburse you for that. We can't reimburse you for Far from the Galactic Trader and the Solar Fire.
Indeed. Okay, so questions are filling up a little bit here. I'm going to stick to the topic of course logistics here. Sarap asks, will you give PDF for quiz? I'm not entirely sure what you mean by that, but we do give you the quiz answers. So they do get posted to the website portal after we review them in class. But usually what we do is they get posted. Let's say there's 12 lessons in the course. We will post the quiz answers after we review the first 6, and then we'll post the back half after completion.
Do you have an example you could share with us of a quiz?
Yeah, I do actually. Yeah, let me go ahead and pull this up. So this is an example of a quiz from Course 7, Module 4, when we're talking about some of the technicals. So an example would be an MMA terminology. What constitutes a bullish close, a bearish close, or a neutral close? And then the answer can be found in the workbook, in the slideshow that was already reviewed, and in the discussion in class. And then at the beginning of the next class, we will go back and review these. So in between each of the lessons that we do during the class, we usually take a 10 to 15 minute break. And what we do during that time is we put the quizzes up on the screen, even though class is not in session, we're not recording during that time, but it's an opportunity for those that may not need to step away from their computer to answer the questions when the information is fresh in their mind. And then again, it's reviewed at the beginning of the following class session. So, the quiz lengths vary from, 5 questions to 12 questions. It just depends. But this is what an example of a quiz would look like after a particular lesson. And there are instances where we combine quizzes from lessons. So just want to keep that in mind. Ray, anything that you wanted to add to the quiz format?
No, I think you covered it. Thank you.
Okay. So continuing on, we have a question from, well, I'll just address this as an easy question. Daniel Simcoe, what book in the 5-part series is best for intraday trading? That would be volume 5, right, Ray?
Say that again.
what book in the 5-part ultimate series on stock market timing is best for intraday trading? That's book 5.
I would say course 5, but also volume 5. But volume 4 is good for intraday trading. I think that's very important. Volume 4, or also we mentioned this in the course more than we mentioned it in terms of volumes 1 through 4. But the solar lunar correlations to gold price cycles, I think, is the best book for intraday trading. It can be applied to stock market, it can be applied to any market. But I think that gives the most detailed approach to our intraday trading methods, is the solar lunar reversals for trading cycles in gold.
Mary Ellen Hockett-Smith asks, if we do the 2-year project, will we have access to your other writings? I'm not sure I understand the scope of the question. Ray, do you?
Well, I mean, what you get, you won't get access to, you don't get free reports after you graduate from the course, if that's what the question is. We don't give complimentary copies. However, you will be able to take the course again if you wish for 92% off the cost of it. We as you'll see in this course, we're going to have MMTA 3. There's probably going to be about 10 of our former students retaking the course again at that great reduced price, because repetition is a wonderful method of learning, and it's hard to remember everything. And every time I go through this course, and Johnny, you can probably confirm this for yourself too, every time I go through this course, it reinforces different trading methods, different skills, different ways to analyze for me to apply to each day and each week's trading. So I find it very, very useful and very, very valuable to repeat the course. That's why I'm going to, even after this course is done, I'm going to continue sitting in many of these courses. It just makes me a better trader every time I do.
Indeed. So what I'm going to do, since we're actually going a little bit, we're approaching time. So I'm actually going to put a hard stop in any new questions. There are currently 14 questions in chat. So we're going to stop taking new questions that have not already been asked. But the last thing I wanted to address before Ray and I do a little bit of market analysis here and give you a preview as to what the end of each class looks like is I want to talk about our confidentiality agreement and the importance of intellectual property. This is one of the disclaimers that we have, an agreement we have students sign before the course begins. And it's the protection of our intellectual property. We will never share your information without your consent. We will never share any of your research with others without your consent. And we ask that understanding of respect and privacy is reciprocated, and we protect ourselves through our students signing a intellectual property protection agreement that you will not share, disclose, or copy any of the information in this course without our explicit written consent. So Ray, anything that you wanted to add on that before we move into the analysis?
Yes, I want everybody to know that, if there is something you want to present and you want to cite us, we'll gladly give you permission to do that. We just don't want it to be a case of don't cite us. I mean, if you're using our information, cite us, and don't use all of our information without our permission. We'll give you permission. Just be honorable and honest and use integrity about it. And respectability is very important, as Johnny just mentioned.
Okay, very good. Well, Ray, how about we do a little bit of market analysis here? I do see some questions.
That's always the fun part.
Yeah, in the Q&A about markets. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. What do you want to look at first, Ray? What's on your radar?
Well, we just had a critical reversal date. We're in it right now, February 2nd. So it's, we're not going to explain right here how we get our critical reversal dates, but February 2nd is a critical reversal date. It involves the sun Uranus. And interestingly enough, a lot of markets did make new cycle highs and lows. So why don't we take a look at some of those? Like, well, you got the euro here. That's a good one. After that, we can maybe look at gold, maybe even the stock market.
Yeah. So euro here, we would have a primary cycle low that unfolded in September. So the euro, we're about, I think it's 19 weeks into the primary cycle. The euro has a longer primary cycle. It's over 30 weeks long, which is longer than many other markets we normally see in finance. But when you start to get into the later stages of the cycles, you have to start looking for reversals, and the timing of those reversals tend to correspond well to geocosmic signatures. So what geocosmic signature do we have this weekend that especially pertains to currency markets? Well, we had the high on February 2nd, and today we have Venus squaring Mars. And as Ray mentioned, we are in a critical reversal date now, but we do like to look at the qualitative characteristics of the critical reversal date as well. We know that Venus rules currencies, so it's not very much of a surprise to see meaningful reversals take place in currency markets. So that's how I see the euro right now. Ray, any other thoughts on what's going on in the euro or the currency markets right now?
Well, we have the Sun square Uranus too also taking place this weekend.
Yeah.
And just as Venus and Mars have to with currencies, Sun Uranus is often present when you get reversals in any interest rate related market. And so you got to, and it's usually quick, sudden, and sharp. So you went from these highs on Thursday to quite a good sell-off in the currencies. And as you'll see shortly, the same thing in gold and T-notes. You didn't make a new high in T-notes, which was interesting. It was a secondary high, but that works too. When you get a secondary high that doesn't make a new high on a CRD, that's a double top, and that works good too. So I think this is an important reversal. It's at least a major cycle, if not even a primary cycle in many of these markets.
Indeed. I'm actually going to pull up the ETFs, Ray, because I keep those nice and current for the MMA ETF report. So I have GDX here, which is the gold mining ETF. And that's a new area that we've been venturing into in the last several months here at MMA Cycles is the ETF market. But, with gold here too, one of the qualitative characteristics of Uranus signatures are breakouts or even false breakouts. So it kind of looked like we were going to break out earlier this week in gold and in silver, but we reversed back lower. And so we knew that we were late in the primary cycle, where the likelihood from a cyclical standpoint of a reversal of the sort is higher. And, Uranus was a surprise. A lot of people were starting to turn bullish on gold in the last couple of weeks. And, one other thing too, Ray, is that we do, I know it's usually that does the talking like this, but we do like to talk about the macroeconomics and the correlations between these markets. So like, a lot of times in class, I'll talk about how metals in the last few years have not done well when interest rates have gone up. They've done better when interest rates have come down. And you can see that gold started rallying in September, and T-notes started rallying not long afterwards. So now that they both have started to roll over, that correlation is vindicated. So that's another example. We talk about macroeconomics and currency flows and capital flows. That's all part of our discussion at the end of class. So we're always applying what we've learned into the real world, because that is what matters the most. So Ray, any thoughts on gold using GDX as a proxy?
I think this is a real good example of one of the tools that we use to give us more confidence in taking a trade under a CRD, a critical reversal date. And that is what we call intermarket bearish divergence. You'll see here with the ETF, gold didn't, the ETF, GDX did not make a new high. But if you pull up the gold chart itself, can you pull up gold itself? Yeah. You'll see it did make a new cycle high.
Oh, it's GC. Let me see.
It would be let's see, GCJ3.
Here we go.
Yeah, there you go. See how gold made a new high last week, considerably higher than the GDX, and then it fell $100 from that high on Thursday to the low on Friday, which is that's very typical of when you get a hard Uranus aspect on a CRD and you get this setup where you get intermarket bearish divergence. So this is I think this is a real good example of the type of things we're looking for with our market timing to back up our our strategies, which would be at this point to sell. And if you remember, the low in gold was November here, in early November. That's about when Mars went retrograde. Okay, and we basically got in around the time Mars went retrograde and rode all the way up to Mars went direct, which was last week, which was a high in the GDX. But even though gold itself went higher this week, we got out of most of our positions last week, the week before, as Mars went direct around 1950. So this is a real good example of how interterm geocosmic signatures like Mars retrograde have worked very well with interterm market cycles. You got a very, very good rally here. We rode up probably 80–90% of that rally from the beginning to the end, and now we're short. So this is a good example of how it works.
Last chart we're going to look at is the Dow Jones.
Yeah.
Some pretty interesting moves here too. So, you know, Uranus rules technology. What have we seen with respect to the stock markets in the last couple of weeks? Uranus, or the NASDAQ leading. The NASDAQ broke out this past week and made a new multi-month high. The NASDAQ took out its high from December 13th, but it did not take out its high from mid-August, whereas the Dow has not taken out its high from mid-December, but already has taken out the high from mid-August. And we are, what are we? Are we nine? No, we're late in the primary cycle.
We're in the 17th week,
17th
so we're
week.
late.
Yeah, and I was going to say we're late in the final phase, of the primary cycle as well. We're late in the major cycle too, and we have this intermarket bearish divergence in a period where Uranus is strongly highlighted, with the NASDAQ making the most meaningful move. That's not uncommon to see.
So discussions like this will take place at the end of every course, every class that we have, and we'll apply what we learned in that class to the current market condition, and we leave it open for interactive discussions with the students who are present on each class. It's a lot of fun. It's exciting. It's lively. And as Gianni mentions, probably the most favored, the most popular part of the program, because it always ends on an upbeat, exciting note.
Indeed. So, Ray, we have 8 minutes left, so we're going to get through as many questions as we can, and then we are going to have to cut it off. But if you are interested in discussing further and seeing if MMTA is the right fit for you, please send us a note. I would be happy to set up a call to discuss whether you are a good candidate for the program, and if we are actually what you're looking for with respect to financial market analysis. So I did say I was going to touch on some of the questions regarding the market, so we can do that now. Question from Anand. Can we speak a little bit about the timing and magnitude of the decline in the stock market that the debt ceiling issue could spur later in the year? As indicated, it may cause a, quote, financial panic indicated by Mars, Jupiter, Pluto, T-square in the last half of May, end quote. What date does this aspect occur?
Well, it occurs May 16th to 23rd. During that time, Mars will square Jupiter. Mars will square, let's see.
Mars will be opposite Pluto, squaring Jupiter.
Mars opposite Pluto is square Jupiter, yeah. So those three aspects are taking place May 16th to May 23rd. Now, historically, the Jupiter-Pluto is one of the more important signatures correlating with financial panics. It's not 100%, it's only about 50%, but that's still pretty high. When you get a Jupiter-Pluto correlating 50% of the time with even a mild financial panic, it's good to know ahead of time that could happen. It's especially important this time because that's when Janet Yellen, the Treasury Secretary, is suggesting that the government's going to run out of money to pay its debts by early June. So you can just see that this aspect of Mars, Pluto, Jupiter, and its propensity toward a panic frenzy, is right on time. It probably would peak just before that early June when she says we're going to run out of money. So we don't want to be long markets going into that period, but we want to be looking for places probably to go short, especially if we're at a point where there's a time band suggesting that a half primary or primary cycle crest could occur.
Very good. We have a question, from a phone-in listener. Am I able to use the main ideas from Pisces and corn from the Forecast 23 and Forecast 22 book for relating ideas in natural gas? I'll answer that since I do the forecast on corn. I'm assuming you're referring to the potential for shortages that Saturn often creates when it transits through a particular sign. So in terms of, could that mean natural gas shortages? That's a potential. But Saturn, it's a double-edged sword. Like Saturn can also reduce demand. So what I just explained is an example of a qualitative observation. And that's why we don't make market forecasts just based off of qualitative astrological observances. That's what makes us different from all of the other financial astrologers out there. They're using a lot of qualitative analysis. All of our studies are quantitatively backed. And again, with Saturn, in this particular example, if it leads to shortages, it might lead to a higher price. If it leads to a drop in demand, it's going to lead to lower prices. What are the missing pieces of the puzzle? One, where we are with respect to cycles and time, and two, where we are with respect to technicals and price. And we discussed that in the program. So I can't say anything else more on that. Okay. Sarop says, at last will program be ours if we pay 2-year enrollment? Well, I mean, you'll be a student of the program if you pay for the 2-year enrollment, but the intellectual property is ours unless you get our permission to share or replicate that information. It's not.
I think she's talking about the software program. Yeah, you own the software program.
Oh, the software. Yes, the software,
but not
is
Metastock. You won't own Metastock.
Yes,
that is a yearly subscription fee. But as long as you're with us, we'll be able to get you a discount on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Claudia Cusser says it would be great if you put the titles of your 2 books in the recommended in chat. Okay, so it was. I'll put that in. Ray,
I'll put that in there. You can go ahead and keep talking, and I'll put that in chat.
Okay, so that's going to be answered live. Mary Ellen Hawkinsmith, how have your own portfolios grown? Well, generally very well. I'm not going to give away exact percentages, but outperformance generally is the trend. And I will say this, Mary Ellen, we teach different types of time horizons with respect to investing. And we talk a lot about risk management and the importance of that too. One of the things that I like to do is segregate my own accounts. So I have a speculative account. I have, intermediate time horizon account where I do more position trading. And then I have long-term retirement type accounts. And my risk profile in each of those accounts are significantly different with respect to time. So different years based off where we are in cycles will produce different results. For example, in 2020, pretty much anybody made any kind of money they could make. You were successful as a trader, investor, and even a day trader. 2020 was a year that everyone made money in all of their accounts. For me personally, in 2021, I did very well in my long-term accounts. My short-term speculative accounts did not do well. Last year, it was the opposite. Overall market was down. I'm not trading my long-term investments like I am for my swing trading account or my day trading account, for example. Last year was a good year for short-term trades. Finished in positive territory with all my swing trading in trading metals and grains and currencies, but stocks were down. So I'm not short selling in my IRA, for example, right? So if stocks are down, you're probably not going to get a positive return. The goal in that type of environment is to be down less than the overall market. So we talk about that type of risk management at length throughout the program. Jeremy Austin.
Let me answer this too.
Yeah.
We get asked this all the time. Your success as a trader, I'm going to talk as a trader right now, a speculator, which I don't do much anymore since I've, left the that end of the business. I'm more into investment and long-term planning. But your success and my success at the time is based almost entirely upon my discipline to follow the rules that I'm teaching. Okay. As long as I follow the rules and stay with it, I do very well. And I can tell you in the first 15, 20 years, and I did track all that in my speculation, there were years I make 400, 500% returns on my trading account. I think in those 15 years, I had maybe 2 years of losses. One was hard, it was 20%, that hurt. Another was maybe 2%, but the others were all, double digits, and many of them were triple digits. It's just a matter of how disciplined
Yeah.
I am to follow my own rules. We'll give you the rules. We'll give you the ways in which to develop your plans for every day, for every week, for every month. But you got to follow it. And that's going to determine whether you're going to be successful or not. If you don't take trades that are there, you're missing opportunity. If you don't put a stop loss or reduce your losses on certain trades, you let it run from you, one big loss can wipe out 7, 8 good gains. So it's really important that you exercise discipline by following the rules and taking advantage of all the opportunities with sufficient capital to make this work.
Yeah, risk management is paramount. We do talk about that a lot throughout the course. So, again, it's not just theory. We're giving you practical advice from two individuals that have been, we have real world experience. We've been doing this. Ray's been through a couple more cycles than I have, but I've been through bull markets and bear markets. I've been through QE. I've been through QT. We've been around and we've experienced the fluctuations of the market. So Ray, we are up on time. Thank you everyone so much for joining us today. Any final words before I wind us down here, Ray?
No, I just want to thank everybody for your interest in our program. I hope to see many of you there. We do limit the total number of people we take on the graduate studies who tend to take the full course. We limit that to 40. We got about half of those filled right now. But you don't have to graduate. You don't have to take the graduate part of the course. You can step in any course you want without the intention of graduating. And each of these courses, at least courses 1, 2, 3, and 4, you can take independently on your own without any requirements to graduate. Courses 5, 6, 7, and 8, no, we don't offer those unless you have taken courses 1 through 4. But you can take 1 through 4 individually. And I hope to see many of you there. It's always exciting. It's always enlivening for me to meet new people, to learn these methods, to teach these methods, and to see the quality of research that comes out of these groups. It's really, really impressive. And I mean it when I say that some of these people who are taking our courses are just as good, if not better, at my methods than I am. It's amazing. So thank you for joining us. I hope to see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, Ray. And just last couple items. The graduate spots are filled on a first come, first serve application basis. So once the 40 spots are filled, the certification option is closed. As Ray mentioned, you can still join, but without the option for certification. And you can still join and then take MMTA 4 again in the future, and then due to certification there, you will still be eligible for the discount in the future. We do close all registration on March 15th. So you have about 5 to 6 weeks before registration is effectively closed for all participants, student or certificate pursuant or not. So that's all I have for today. Again, if you want to join the program, you need to schedule an interview with yours truly. It can be reached at Gianni@MMAcycles.com, or you can send an email to MMTA@MMAcycles.com. That's all for now. Thank you again, everyone. We hope to see you starting March 18th.